Welcome to the 2025 Florida Fastpitch NCAA softball tournament preview.
Great to be digging into this. It's always an exciting time.
Absolutely. 64 teams all eyeing that trip to the Women's College World Series, Devon Park in Oklahoma City. That's May 29th to June 5th or 6th.
But first things first, the regionals and super regionals.
Exactly. Regionals are coming right up May 16th to 18th, then the supers May 22nd to 25th.
Lots of softball packed into a short time.
For sure. So our plan today is really to unpack this bracket. We want to look at these seeding decisions because, wow, some of them got people talking right away.
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some controversy brewing.
Yeah. So we'll analyze those, look at key storylines, maybe some potential upsets based on what we saw in the initial reactions.
Sounds good. Let's jump in. Where do you want to start? Top seeds.
Let's do it. Texas A&M, #1 overall seed. Seems pretty straightforward, right? Strong SEC run, good RPI. They had that big win against Tennessee in the SEC tournament, too, even though they didn't win the whole thing.
All right, that 13-2 win was a statement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, A&M at #1. I don't think many people are arguing with that one. They tick all the boxes. Really.
Okay, solid start. But then Florida at #3.
Yes. Okay, here we go.
This is where it gets interesting, isn't it? 6th in the SEC, bounced early from the conference tournament.
But they did get that series win against Oklahoma early on.
They did. And it feels like the committee really valued that win. Maybe too much. Is one series enough for a #3 seed, considering everything else?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? That OU series win is huge, no doubt. It definitely boosts the resume. But, you know, you balance that against the whole season, the conference performance.
Right.
It does seem like maybe that specific series is carrying a bit more weight than you might expect.
Especially with how RPI sometimes overvalues early wins.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just Florida. Look at UCLA, #9 seed. Didn't win the Big Ten regular season or the tournament.
Right. And then you've got Clemson.
Who won the ACC tournament? Yep, ACC champs. And they land at #11. You'd think a Power 5 tournament title would maybe push them higher.
You'd think. It makes you wonder about the consistency, you know?
Definitely. And then there's Alabama, #15, hosting regional.
Okay, this one, I'm struggling to see the clear logic here. The metrics, RPI, conference record, it doesn't exactly scream host compared to some others, does it?
Not immediately, no.
Yeah.
It kind of feels, well, you wonder if reputation is playing a role there.
Yeah.
The Alabama brand is obviously huge in softball.
That's kind of the feeling, this brand over body of work idea that keeps popping up.
It does seem to be a theme this year.
Let's compare, say, Florida State to Florida.
Yeah.
FSU beat Florida head-to-head this season, finished higher in the ACC than Florida did in the SEC, and their RPI, third, right behind Florida's second.
Almost identical RPIs.
So how is Florida 2 spots higher? Especially when FSU won the head-to-head, it feels like the logic is a bit selective.
It highlights the inconsistency, doesn't it? If RPI is key, okay, but then factor in head-to-head conference finish. It just doesn't seem to line up cleanly in that Florida State comparison.
And then flip it around. Florida is seeded behind Oklahoma, even though Florida won the series against them.
Right. So when does head-to-head matter? Does it matter more for Florida against Oklahoma than for Florida State against Florida? Gets confusing.
It really does. It feels like the goalposts are moving a bit, depending on which teams we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And look, we know RPI isn't perfect.
Yeah.
It has its flaws, maybe doesn't capture late season form perfectly.
Sure.
But even with RPI, the application seems inconsistent here. And that Alabama hosting spot, it just keeps coming back as one where the stats don't fully back it up. Reputation seems like a strong possibility.
Look, the committee's job is tough, no doubt. They're trying to balance a lot of factors.
Absolutely. It's not easy.
But you still want the sitting to primarily reflect results and metrics, right?
Yeah.
And in some cases this year, it feels like that link is a bit stretched.
Agreed. The deviations from the numbers just seem to favor certain big names a bit too often this year, raising those questions about objectivity.
Okay, let's shift gears. Let's dive into the regionals themselves. Where's the action going to be? Starting with #1, Texas A&M in Bryan College Station.
Yeah, they've got Liberty, St. Francis, PA, and Marhurst. Danger level feels pretty low there.
So likely a 3-0 weekend for the Aggies.
On paper, that's the expectation, yeah. They
Got
should handle that group.
All right, Norman Regional, Oklahoma, danger level here, medium. They did lose to Florida, Alabama, Tennessee.
Showed some vulnerability.
And Boston University is in that regional. They've pulled off upsets before.
They have. BU is always well coached and scrappy.
Yeah.
So yeah, Oklahoma needs to be sharp. not a complete cakewalk.
Okay, Gainesville, Florida, the number 3 seed, danger level high.
Definitely high.
Georgia Tech, Florida Atlantic, both look like tough outs. Florida's been kind of up and down, high ceiling, but sometimes shaky.
Absolutely. That's the definition of Florida this year. High highs, low lows. Both Georgia Tech and especially FAU could give them real trouble. Jordan Clark has FAU playing great ball.
That could be a very interesting regional to watch. Fayetteville Regional, Arkansas is the favorite. Trap game identified as Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Oklahoma State is a solid team for the Big 12. Arkansas will need their big hitters like Bree Ellis to really step up.
Makes sense. Tallahassee next. Florida State hosting. Favorite, obviously, but Auburn is listed as a dark horse.
Auburn's offense can be really dangerous.
And South Florida's in there too. So the key is FSU's pitching versus Auburn's bats.
That looks like the big clash, yeah. FSU relies on that strong pitching. Auburn wants to score runs. Should be a good battle. And USF can play spoiler too.
Austin Regional, Texas hosting. Tough draw, though, with Michigan.
Ooh, yeah. Michigan's always tough in the tournament.
And UCF is there, too, coming off a good Big 12 season. Plus, Texas has sometimes struggled with hosting pressure in the past.
Right. So this regional feels wide open. Michigan, UCF, they'll definitely challenge Texas. Lots of upset potential there.
Knoxville, Tennessee. Carlin Pickens in the circle is a huge asset for them.
She's dominant, absolutely.
But Ohio State is pegged as a sleeper here. They've had a quiet but really solid season.
They have. Good resume. So while Tennessee is the favorite, Ohio State could definitely make things interesting.
Columbia Regional, South Carolina hosting. But North Florida is on upset watch.
45 wins for UNF and a top 25 RPI. That's a really strong 3 seed.
Wow. Yeah, so South Carolina needs to be consistent. Virginia and Elon are there too. UNF could be a real bracket buster.
Absolutely. They're flying under the radar,
Right.
but have the numbers to back up a potential upset.
Los Angeles, UCLA hosting, but San Diego State gets the upset alert tag.
Yeah, SDSU is legit. They've had a fantastic season. This could be a really tough regional for UCLA, especially with the questions around their seed.
And Arizona State is in there too, so this one feels like it could genuinely see a host go down early.
Very possible. SDSU is a serious threat to win that regional.
Baton Rouge, LSU favored. Nebraska listed as an X factor.
Yeah, Nebraska has shown flashes. They can compete. UConn is also a solid team in that regional. LSU should advance, but Nebraska could throw a wrench in things if LSU isn't careful.
Clemson Regional, Clemson hosting despite the seed. Kentucky pegged as the toughest test.
And Northwestern is there too. That's a loaded regional.
Seriously, Kentucky, Northwestern. Clemson really has to battle to get out of that one. No easy path.
Probably one of the toughest regionals top to bottom.
Lubbock, Texas
Let's sign.
Tech, key player, Nigeria Canady.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
If Canady is dealing, Texas Tech probably advances. She's that much of a difference maker.
Tucson Regional, Arizona hosting. Upset watch on Grand Canyon.
GCU 46-6 record. That's incredible.
Yeah, amazing record. Ole Miss and Santa Clara also there. If Arizona's bats go cold.
GCU is absolutely capable of pulling off that upset. Another dangerous mid-major.
Durham Regional, Duke hosting. Georgia is the upset watch team here.
Georgia's a really strong number 2 seed. Very dangerous.
And Coastal Carolina has some offensive pop too, so Duke needs to be sharp.
Definitely. That regional feels pretty balanced. Georgia could easily come out on top.
Tuscaloosa, Alabama hosting. Outlook seems skeptical.
Yeah, the feeling seems to be, even with hosting, Alabama might have a tough fight on their hands. Reflects the questions about their seeding and maybe some inconsistency.
Okay, and finally Eugene. Oregon hosting. They're getting some buzz as a sleeper run pick.
They had a great Big Ten season, 19-3, beat some top teams.
So they could potentially make some noise beyond the regionals, maybe even OKC.
It's possible. They've shown they can play with anyone. Definitely a team to watch for a potential deep run.
So looking at the whole picture, chaos seems like a real possibility this year, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Lots of potential for upsets. Texas A&M looks strong at the top, but they're not unbeatable.
And teams like Florida State, Clemson, maybe underseeded, definitely have the talent to go far.
Absolutely. They'll be playing with a chip on their shoulder. And Oregon, like we said, could surprise folks in OKC.
And let's circle back to Florida Atlantic in that Gainesville regional. Coach Jordan Clark, strong team. They really feel like a dangerous dark horse.
Totally agree. They could absolutely shake things up there.
Meanwhile, Florida, UCLA, tough paths, questionable seeds. Could they be early exits?
It wouldn't be shocking given their draws and the questions surrounding them. Definitely vulnerable.
It's also pretty remarkable how many Florida teams are in the tournament this year. 6.
6 teams: Florida, FSU, FAU, USF, UCF, and North Florida. It really shows the strength of softball in the state.
You've got UF and FSU hosting as national seeds.
And FAU and USF looking for those upsets we talked about.
UCF now in the Big 12 trying to make noise in Austin.
And UNF, that really strong team heading to Columbia. Yeah, Florida softball is definitely making its presence felt.
It adds another really cool layer to follow throughout the tournament.
For sure.
So wrapping up this deep dive, I mean, the main takeaway is unpredictability, right?
Absolutely. Powerhouses, hungry underdogs, controversial seeds. It's all in the mix.
The road to Oklahoma City is going to be wild. Expect chaos, maybe more debate, and definitely some clutch moments.
Couldn't agree more. It's set up for a fantastic tournament. Lots of potentially great matchups right from the start.
Okay, so final thought for you listening. Which underseeded team do you think has the best shot at making a deep run? And what's your prediction for the biggest surprise in this first regional round?
Yeah, curious to hear what people think.
Definitely tune in, follow the action, and let's see how this wild bracket unfolds.